Hey there, it's Pete from Forget Normal. Hope you're okay. So today I wanted to talk about limiting beliefs. Now, I believe limiting beliefs are the major cause, or certainly one of the major causes for people not leading the life they want to live and restricting themselves to their comfort zone and never stretching themselves and really achieving what they want. Now, it's prevalent everywhere. I do it myself and I have to catch myself doing it because you can really limit what you get out of life, what you achieve, how you feel all the time is massively dictated by the limiting beliefs that you're subject to. Now, in another video, I'm dealing with where those limiting beliefs come from, but I prefer to focus on what you do about them. You could spend ages and, therapize about it and talk about where the limiting beliefs come from, and it can turn into a sort of blame game, if you like. Oh, my parents told me this, or my friend told me that, or I've never had this chance, or I live in this country so I can't do it, or I don't have enough money. Any of these things don't get you any further. So this video is focused on how you remove, or certainly how I find a very useful method of removing any limiting beliefs that I have and drill them out of my mindset so that they no longer hold me back. So I've done a diagram because I love a diagram. So I'll go through it and hopefully you'll find it can work for you too. Okay, so we'll flip on to the view where you can see me and the diagram. So just bear with. Okay, now I know it looks like a lot at first, and don't worry, I will zoom in as we go through the detail of it. But this is it, and to be honest with you, once you get well versed with how this works, if you're like me, you'll find you can do this mentally really, really quickly. It's just a matter of practice and nothing else. But here's basically a framework for how to deal with this stuff. So we'll go through it bit by bit. I'll just zoom in to, let's see, 200%. I think will be adequate because I know some of you guys will be watching this on a mobile and stuff, so I just want to make sure you can all see it, and also make sure that my header does not obscure anything. So, number one, we'll go through this, but I'll use an example as we go through each one. Okay, so let's say someone's getting anxiety about taking an exam soon. Okay, nice simple example. Okay, and I'll take different paths through this process flow map, and the first one will be a simple example, next one a little more complex, and a little bit another one from my own life that I'll take you through last, which will be something really challenging that you have to address your limiting beliefs really robustly. So we'll start off with this the limiting belief regarding exam anxiety. Let's say someone always tells themselves, every time I get in the exam room, I panic, I forget everything. Okay, just something like that. So not a useful mantra if you're just about to sit an exam. So here's how to deal with it. So the first thing is you catch yourself thinking or starting to vocalize the limiting belief. If you're talking to somebody, as soon as you say, oh, I'm rubbish in exams, don't let those words leave your mouth. Okay, as soon as you notice, and this is one of the keys, that number one step is catch yourself doing it. It takes a bit of practice, but catch yourself doing it. Okay, and as soon as you catch yourself doing it, stop. Okay, the next thing is a danger sense check. I have to put that in because I know loads of people are going to watch this video and say, oh, does that mean I can jump off a plane without a parachute? I've got a belief that I might die. Yeah, it's a well-founded belief. So this is just to stop any crazy stunts or anything, but you just do your own risk assessment on everything. Okay, don't do anything daft with this. This is to remove limiting beliefs that are holding you back. Okay, not the ones that are keeping you safe, but we'll get through to that. In fact, we'll go to it now. So let's assume I want to jump out of a plane without a parachute. Okay, and I think, I could get really hurt. Okay, so I stop myself thinking it. Then I do a sense check. Okay, is this likely to kill me or harm me? It's a definite yes. So I'm not going down this path anymore. I'm going to the right, and I'll just pan across. So that's the yes. And here it says, maybe this limiting belief is one of those rare ones that is actually helpful and is protecting you from harm. Pay attention to it and heed it. Okay, so hopefully you're not going to have that many thoughts that take you down that route. Okay, so let's go back to our exam example. So not dangerous taking an exam. Okay, so the first thing is, can you find an example from your own life that disproves this negative belief? Have you ever sat on an exam and thought, yeah, I've got this is going fine, and you end up opening the envelope when you get your grade and it's a really good one? Okay, if you have that, let's assume for this example, you've got that experience somewhere in your past. Okay, this makes this process a lot easier. It's possible with, it's really possible to deal with things where you haven't had that experience, but I'll deal with those in a second. But let's assume you do have at least one point in your life where you did perform well in an exam and got a good result. So if we're saying yes, then you need to then remember that example vividly. Okay, and you may not know what this VAKOG thing is. It's an NLP term, Neuro Linguistic Programming, if I can even say it. That's why I say NLP all the time. VAKOG is a really powerful way to establish every angle of an experience. And what I mean by that is that the V stands for visual. So what did you see? What did you notice? A is for auditory. What did you hear? What were the sounds? Everything, the background, noise, everything. K, kinesthetic. What were you doing? How were you moving? How were you writing in an exam? How was it flowing? Did you ask for more paper or some more exam sheets? Anything like that. Anything you did. Sort of a physical aspect of it. O is an interesting one. O is olfactory. So that's, what did you smell? And it sounds crazy, but if you remember what the exam room smelled like when you were doing really well, then include that in your visualizations. And gustatory is, what did you taste? Not often that this plays into a lot of sort of dealing with limiting beliefs, but you may have had a drink, an energy drink, or a bottle of water or something like that. Imagine the taste when you were drinking that as you were doing well in that exam. So get all your bases covered with this VAKOG scenario. So just visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. So you remember that exam when where you're doing so well, it was unbelievable. It was just, you were in flow, because a lot of this is really basically getting you into flow and removing obstacles. So you remember that example, you're doing really well in an exam, opening the envelope afterwards and getting your mark. Then think of another time where you experienced just a natural burst of positivity. You just felt brilliant. It may have been when you got that exam result. It may be a totally different experience entirely, just something that you're really positive about and that was a great experience. You think about that, and that gets your mental state flipped into positivity as well as whilst you're remembering the original experience. Then announce your new belief and phrase it this way: I am enjoying. Don't say I'm going to. You're actually putting yourself now into a future situation, but expressing it in present tense terms, because your brain can't differentiate between the two. It starts to visualize and imagine your future as if it's happening now. And believe me, if you play this out, basically when you get into that exam, in your mind you've already sat it and it already went well. So make sure that you're expressing these things in the present. I always put in enjoying. I know a lot of people that I follow do this as well, and it helps you not just saying I am sitting in an exam and doing really well. That's okay, but I am enjoying sitting in the exam and doing really well really starts to give it an emotional punch that, why do anything if you're not enjoying it? This gets you in that enjoyment frame of mind, which will help you get through and ace the exam. Now, I put ideally say it out loud. I understand it depends where you are. You don't want all your friends are going, well, what's got into Pete today? Use your judgment, but it does make it more powerful if you say it out loud. Okay, it may sound a bit weird and uncomfortable at first, but it does work. Well, it certainly works for me anyway. So you announce your new belief, either mentally, but make it strong, or verbally, and do it strong. Don't just say with your head down, voice down, little breath. You give it some welly, okay, as I would say. So you say it out loud. Are you feeling it yet? So are you now in this positive state where everything is kind of joining up now with the exam success and your current feeling of positivity? If you are, you're there. Okay, you just have to then remember to reaffirm this new belief often. I would say, at least 3 times a day. In the morning when you wake up, sometime in the middle of the day, and then before you go to bed. If you do it top and tail of the day, morning and night, it's really handy, because especially when you go to bed, if that's your last thought before you start to sleep, your subconscious is going to take that and work on it and work on those neural paths to make it better and better and more solid. And that, after a while, it's going to be easier for the brain to go to the positive thought and the relationship between the exam and you're feeling positive and confident than the old route. You're basically working. Imagine a field full of grass, long grass. The more you do that path through the grass, back and forth, then that becomes a real path. It's easy to walk along then. Do you know what I mean? So you can get from A to B, from where you are now to passing that exam happily. That's really the aim here. Okay, so if you're doing this right, you should find your new belief becomes a reality and you're done. Okay, so that was the sort of straightforward path. If you're not feeling it yet as you're going through this, then we're just sending you back the loop here. Increase the intensity. Remember the VAKOG stuff: visual, auditory. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you do? What did you smell? What did you taste? Get it in there. A lot of people who struggle with picturing things can still do the VAKOG stuff. There's always a way. You may not see a picture, you may just feel it. Just use these different modalities: the visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory and gustatory, and it will work. It will start to get through to the brain. Okay, so that's a simple example with exam stress. Let's go back to the top again and pick a different one, really common. I've definitely said this a lot in my past, which is I just can't lose weight. I just can't lose weight. I've tried, lose a bit, put it back on. I can't diet. All those limiting beliefs. I can't lose weight. Let's deal with that one. I can't lose weight. Okay, stating it as a fact when it's really not. It's not a fact at all. Everyone can lose weight. So back to the top. Catch yourself thinking it or starting to vocalize it. So I can't lose weight, but you don't say it. You just, as you go, that's when you trigger this a lot. Okay, so you stop. You do your danger sense check. Okay, it's not dangerous to lose weight unless obviously you've got an serious eating disorder, in which case the sense check plays in there. If you've not eaten for a day and you're not eating the right things, that's bad. That's not going to do you any good. So that's why the sense check's there. So let's assume we're wanting sensible weight loss to a healthy weight. So it's not dangerous. So now the next question is, can you find an example from your own life that disproves this negative belief? Now let's say, as I was saying before I started to really lose weight, when I got my head around this, let's say I've never had success losing weight. Maybe I've lost a little bit, but it always stacks back on again. Okay, so let's go down this no path. Okay, so can I find an example from my own life? No, I can't. Okay, can you think of anyone in the entire history of the world who's done this? Now, yes, I can. I'll just scan across here. I can think. I've got a friend who used to be really overweight, and we didn't see him at the end of a sports season, and then we saw him at the start of the sports season, and seriously, he'd lost about 60 pounds. It was incredible. And, in the nicest way, he's nothing special. He's a normal person. And but he decided to forget normal and take action. And see what I did there, forget normal. But you know what I mean? He just applied his own mentality and mindset to a change he wanted to do, and he's done it. Okay, and he didn't do it in a crazy way. He's just done it. So I can think of someone in the entire history of the world who's done this. Okay. So I visualize this person. Okay. I see how they walked, when they lost that weight, how they stood. Okay, so I'm noticing all the details about how he was, how confident he was. He seemed much happier in himself. He was quietly confident. He wasn't brash or arrogant. He was just quietly confident because he was really proud of himself. But he wasn't he wasn't the big I am or anything like that. He was just focused, fun, centered, lost loads of weight, was proud of that fact, but it didn't dominate his every thought. He had just done it, and his clothes fit well, looked good when we saw him out. So that's easy for me to visualize. I can hear how he spoke, see what he looked like, see how he moved. He wasn't wheezing or breathing out. He was moving, nice and easily. Not straining under, the joints weren't straining, didn't have any aches and pains that he was whinging about all the time, so all the auditory was positive. The olfactory, the sort of, what did it smell and taste at the time I was talking to him, don't really apply here. So you know what I mean, you sort of pick these out for the ones that are relevant. But the next thing to do is then really visualise how he is now, how he behaves, the person has become. And then you mentally step into their body and you see the world through their eyes. you basically, if you spent enough time in this phase here, just visualizing how they are and really getting into it, it'll be easy to just mentally step in. If you're talking to them, you basically just step into the picture, step into their body, and then you look through their eyes, feel what they feel, think what they think, and you start to really assimilate that in your own mindset. So you're almost sort of borrowing the skills that they've built. Okay. Then as you step out, you keep that feeling, you notice that you kept it. Okay, then we're heading over to the left again. Then you got to combine this new thoughts that you've borrowed effectively from this other person. You need to bring that into your own positive state, so you remember something where you felt really good about anything. As long as the feeling of intensity of positivity was good, then at that point you're kind of blending them together, and that's when you then announce your new belief. I'm enjoying losing weight. I'm finding it really easy. That's much better than I can never lose weight. I'm enjoying losing weight and getting to a healthy, getting a healthy mindset. Anything like that. But it's I am enjoying again. It's something about what you want to achieve in the future, but it's stated in the present tense because it tells your brain this is happening now. And I'm enjoying it. It always includes something like I'm delighted that, or I'm enjoying. Bring something in that doesn't make it a horrible experience, because I'm losing weight and I'm loving it. And I never thought I'd say that until I started applying this. Okay, and then we're back to the bit that you're familiar with already. Are you feeling it? And if you're not, you basically rinse and repeat. You keep on doing this. Remember the example vividly again. Combine it with a natural feeling of positivity that you've had in the past, and then announce your belief. Again, verbally if at all possible. And you keep going around that until you're building yourself up to say, you almost feel like you're tuned, you're almost vibrating to this fact. Then don't forget to reaffirm it, morning, noon, night, or just morning and night. I know how people get busy. And then if you're anything like me, the belief becomes reality. Okay, so we've explored a few of the legs on this. So let's try a more challenging objective. A few years back, I decided to swim the English Channel from England to France. Okay. I'd never done it before, I'm not that good a swimmer, but obviously I had to deal with a lot of limiting beliefs. It's a long way, it's 21 miles straight across, but the actual way you swim, because of the tides sending you there and back all the time from the Atlantic Ocean to the North Sea, you don't swim straight, you go all over the place. So I actually ended up swimming, I think, 35 miles in order to get to the other side. But if someone had said, you're going to swim non-stop for 35 miles, I wouldn't have believed them for a second. But it was just a limiting belief. And this is how I dealt with it. So if I think, right, I could never swim the channel, I can't swim all day. So you stop yourself from vocalising. I mean, ideally stop yourself even thinking it, but you certainly don't vocalise it. So I stopped that. There's a danger sense check here, and I had to do my own danger sense check for swimming the channel, because there are some people who sadly don't make it. So I had to go quite deep into that, just to make sure that I had a boat by the side of me. I knew the training plan, so I could make sure it was as safe as possible to do it. But in the end, I ended up going down this leg because I basically did my research. But can you find an example from your own life that disproves this negative belief? Well, no, I couldn't, because I'd never swam the channel before. So that's a no. Can you think of anyone in the entire history of the planet who has done this? And I couldn't. I wasn't familiar with channel swimmers. I didn't know anybody who'd done it. But so then your next challenge is to get your Google on. So fire up Google and start searching for people who've achieved what you want to achieve. Okay. And as soon as I did that, I did find loads of people, surprising number of people who've swum the channel. Okay, someone did it first, I think, in 1874, but about 1,000 people have done it since then. So there's plenty of available material on Google to say, totally normal people have done this and then forgot normal and did something astonishing. So I got down this route, so I did find someone who's done it. Okay, then you visualize them. Now, ideally, when you found someone, you'll either get to know them or they'll be like a celebrity or something like that. There's something where you can find out information about them so that you can start to get in their mindset, because you need enough information to be able to then visualize this person, see how they do things, notice all the details. Okay, Normally a Google search, and a bit of research is enough to give you the information that you will need in order to do a good visualization. Again, we're going down the VAKOG route, so you need, see them do, there's a guy that I met when I started training to do the channel, and he was basically, I wanted to be him. He was a really nice fella. He was confident and not arrogant. He was, he just had that look about him where, he would basically get through anything. He just had that determination. He was a nice guy to talk to, but you could tell once he set his mind to anything, it was as good as done. And the more I spoke to him, I started to pick up some of the narrative that he used, some of the words, some of his favourite phrases, and also asked him about how the swim went, and asked him about ploughing through the waves when he was getting stung by jellyfish and all the rest of it, and how his mentality sort of got him through it, and basically nothing was going to stop him. So that's really useful. If you get that level of quality information, you've got all the things you need. I knew what he visualized. I knew, he explained the sound of the waves, the sound of massive container ships going past him. Everything, was starting to become more familiar. What he did, what his swimming stroke was like, what he smelled, and that's pretty present, pretty much in the channel. You can get through some mucky water when you're swimming, and Gusher Tree was an easy one because it's just really strong brine taste, for the day whilst you're swimming. But you can notice all these details, and then make sure you're engaged with their mindset, because it's got to be positive. Okay, a lot of this stuff that I had to know, but it was how he dealt with the challenges, how he dealt with it, and then mentally step into their body. So you imagine talking to them, picking everything, and then you just step in and you see the world in their eyes, okay, with their map of the world. Because that's VAKOG is the NLP version of, that's a map of the world. That's how they see things. So go through it again: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. So what do they see? What do they hear? What do they do? What do they smell? What do they taste? Go through all those as if you're them, actually looking out of their body. Okay, you really start to feel a lot more powerful when you do this. And then as you step out of them, notice that you bring that feeling with you. And then you're back to this point here where you think of another memory that you got that's really positive. And then that will automatically start to switch your brain to say, what I've just experienced there is a positive thing, therefore I'm going to embed it into my mindset. And then again, reinforce it, announce your new belief by saying, I am enjoying swimming the channel, knowing that I'm going to get there. I said that so many times you wouldn't believe it, and it became fact. It just became fact. I had to do it a lot because there was a lot of my brain just, all the conditioning that I had, that it's dangerous. There'll be close family members who also don't want you to do it. It's going to take a lot of time. It's a little bit dicey in terms of the safety aspects. You have to be really careful and make sure you're well looked after, and you're not going to get chopped up by any carrier ships or get stung by certain types of jellyfish, which can be career-ending stings. So I had to work a lot on this, but this is the framework I used that made it possible, because it all stems from mindset. Anyone who's swum the channel will tell you it's 80% it's 80% mental rather, and only 20% physical. It's taking care of the mentality. Taking care of the mindset is actually the deciding factor. Okay, have some fun with that. Please use it. Feel free to use it. Use it safely, obviously. But let me know how you get on with that, and I'll answer your comments down below. Okay, cheers. Take care.